Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dark Raku here with the What If Issei was a descendant of Kokushibo, part 4 of this What If. Now, before I continue on, yes, I failed my test. Yeah, no big surprise there. I basically overthink everything. I was like fucking thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I fucking overthink a lot of things. But yeah, so I'm just here doing this part 4. But yeah, other than that, I'm kind of a little depressed that I didn't pass. But yeah, I have one more chance, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. I just gotta fucking study a lot. I don't know. But other than that, let me begin to what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me begin. So we begin into mostly, well, Issei. Issei is right now in front of Laura, and Laura is in front of Issei. This is where, well, Laura has a kind of small little tint of blush on her face, while mostly Issei looks kind of confused and annoyed from the fact this devil is actually trying to force him into her barrage in this battle. Because, yeah, we go into the battle somewhat. Now, the battle doesn't actually kind of like... It's pretty much a swordsman battle. Now, Issei doesn't know what he's actually going to win in this. He's just knew that mostly he doesn't like this devil from the fact that she's been trying to put him in her barrage, and he doesn't like that. He likes freedom a lot. Every human likes that, but whatever. This is where mostly Issei kind of just right now kind of points his sword at mostly Laura Gremory. Laura Gremory is basically the daughter of Cersei Gremory, but yeah, also known as Cersei Lucifer, but yeah. But of course, where Gracie is right now next to her other daughter. There's actually 2 twins, but not the point. This is where, well, the other daughter is named, well, mostly. So her name is Issei Lucifer, being basically just the last name of mostly Gracie, but yeah. This is where, well, they are basically 2 twin daughters who are actually 17 years old, but yeah. Lusanya is actually seeing her mostly twin sister right now fighting against Issei Hiro, the kind of Moon Hashira / well, the also the Crescent, mostly the Moon Crescent Evil Dragon user also. This is what, well, Laura says, okay, so we're going to have a little battle here, Issei. Issei kind of just scoffs at the devil and says, what is it do you even want? I want a swordsman battle, but not just that. I also want a sacred gear battle. What? That's where Issei looks at her confused and says, who am I going to be fighting against your barrage? Well, that's the problem. I don't really have a barrage members. I am 17 and I am old enough to be able to kind of get barrage members. It's just every person that I ever meet is weak, annoying, and pathetic. And I would rather not deal with weaklings. I'd rather deal with someone strong, powerful, and interesting. This is where she has another tint of blush on her face while looking at Issei. This is where, well, Issei scoffs and says, whatever. Just bring it on then. This is where, well, mostly Issei was thinking sacred gear. Isn't she a pure-blooded devil? She shouldn't be able to have a sacred gear. Unless the system. Crown Crush says, I don't know, kid. I don't know what sacred gear she has. But whatever it is, we're gonna fuck her up anyway. Yeah. God damn it. I'm gonna have to keep Luna a little bit more waiting. Fuck it. This is where, well, Issei rushes at mostly Laura. Laura blocks a slash that was actually aimed for her head. This is where, well, she was just like shocked. This is where she grins and saying, ooh, you're quite feisty right now. Then bring it. This is where both of them start fighting and clashing. Now, they're in the middle of the freaking, well, hallway, which, yeah, that's the thing. And, of course, where, well, not middle of the hallway, the middle of the festival, but yeah, and this is where Cersei is sweating, sweat dropping, while mostly his wife is right now kind of angry at the fact that Laura is right now being rebellious and fighting against the Moon User. The Moon User seems to be blocking and dodging what's it called Laura's attacks. Laura right now swings a burst of flame straight from the sword that would have hit Issei, but Issei right now just swiped it away with just his hand. This is where, well, he wasn't even burnt, he wasn't even phased. This is where, well, he looks at mostly Laura again. Laura kind of grins, and this is where she then smiles again, even mostly ferociously. This is where she then starts swinging multiple slashes of flame straight towards Issei. Issei saw these slashes, and all he did is basically says, Moon style. Mostly he says, well, he said 8th form, a moon dragon, a ringtail, but yeah. This is where, well, he does that, and this is where, well, right now Laura manages to dodge, and this is where, well, she appears right behind Issei and about to stab him until Issei right now pulls out the Spartan sword called Yamamoto, or not Yamamoto, and blocks the attack. This is where, well, Issei is narrowing his eyes at Laura. Now, Issei's eyes are just completely red. Well, mostly just a color of red because mostly that's his actual real eye color. And this is where, well, he then right now pushes Laura away. Laura kind of grins and then smirks and says, "Ooh, you're feisty. You don't want to give up or lose anytime soon. But I need you to lose. I want you anyway." This is where, well, she already decided. This is where, well, mostly she then says, "I already decided. You will lose and become mine." Issei scoffs and says, "I'm not no one's. Now, if you don't mind me." Issei goes into his demonic form. Mostly his hair kind of glows kind of with red tint of highlights, while his eyes went yellow slip. And this is where he rushes at Luna. Or not Luna, mostly Laura. Laura right now wind her eyes with a blinding speed. This is where, well, she sends a ball of destruction straight towards Issei. Issei cuts it with his kind of Yamato. And this is where, well, mostly Laura wind her eyes and says, "Damn it. That's not going to happen." This is where her ball of destruction is almost at the same level as her kind of father's. Not entirely, but she's much better than what's it called, Ria's Gremory. Because she actually trains in her ball of almost her destruction. Now her destruction magic is kind of a crimson red, of course. But the one thing different to it, it has a tint of white. Well, tint of like silverish white, but yeah. That's just because, well, that's from her mother's side. This is where, well, she kind of uses a bit of ice, but yeah. She then sent, what's it called, a ball of destruction again straight to Issei. Issei knows that this ball of destruction is different and just dodges it, but yeah. Laura kind of scoffed, realizing that Issei dodged it because when it hit the ground, it just made an ice pillar. This is where, well, Issei starts rushing straight to Laura. Laura, you know, starts rushing towards him. And this is where, well, she then swings her kind of great sword straight towards Issei, which Issei right now uses the Yamato and empowers it with more kind of power inside it. This is where, well, he uses breathing technique on the sword, and this is where, well, he managed to slash through the sword, and this is where, well, Laura has a cut in her chest, or mostly near her kind of like shoulder. This is where she says, "Damn, you're strong." But that's not enough. This is where she's still holding onto the sword, and this is where the boosted gear appears. Boost! This is where, well, a call out from the boosted gear appear. This is where, well, mostly every double wind their eyes, even Surfdex. He forgets that mostly Laura has the boosted gear. This is where, well, Ria's wind her eyes. This is where Issei kind of just looks at this and just smirks. This is where he wasn't expecting the longitis to actually appear with her. This is where, well, mostly Issei says, "Come on, come out, Crumb Crutch." This is where Crumb Crutch says, "Fear." But yeah, this is where, well, fear actually appears. Now, this is where, well, or should it be fear? You want, fuck it. He says, fear. This is where, well, Crumb Crutch right now kind of calls out that name. And this is where, well, mostly everyone feels kind of fear and like feels like they're nothing but lower than what's it called, Issei. This is where, well, or mostly kind of, instead of saying fear, say madness. This is where, well, mostly Laura wasn't too affected by it, but she realized that mostly everyone else is kind of going into madness. So she needs to hurry this up. "Dietrich, I need you to actually, well, increase my power of the sword and right now increase it to flames. To crimson flames. Are you sure?" "I don't know if the sword will be able to control all that." "Do it, please." This is where, well, right now Dietrich does it, and this is where he says, "Transfer." This is where, well, the sword right now goes to the crimson flames. Issei right now narrows his eyes, and this is where he says, "Crumb Crutch." Fine. I feel like you're gonna add it to the Yamato blade. Yeah, do it. This is where, well, he added into the Yamato blade and the other blade that Issei had. The other blade that Issei had right now went into its kind of like eye form, mostly multiple eye form. And this is where, well, mostly Issei right now rushes at Laura. This is where Issei says, "Die!" Laura says, "Bring it!" This is where, well, mostly, well, both of them rush each other and right now clash in the middle. While Issei's blades are right now covered with this kind of goldenish black kind of mist. This is where, well, Laura's mostly sword is covered with crimson flames of Dietrich. Both of them are right now struggling to dominate. This is where Issei says, "Just give up!" This is where Laura says, "Hell no!" This is where both of them are right now gritting teeth and right now glaring at each other. This is where, well, mostly Laura says, "This is, well, mostly an attack that I'm gonna have to do." This is where, well, she shoots a kind of beam, well, mostly lets go of one of her hands from the sword, and shoots a beam really fast towards Issei's chest, which Issei gets it. This is where he coughs up blood, but this is where he doesn't give up yet. This is where he then pushes Laura away. Right now, throws the sword of what's it called, the Yamato sword, straight towards Laura. Laura tries to block it with her kind of great sword, but it pierces through and hit her right in the chest. She coughs up a bit of blood. She's wide her eyes. This is where Issei appears right behind her, and right now kind of grab her from the kind of coat, smash her down to the ground, and then slam his sword almost close to her face. This is where, well, Laura says, why didn't you finish it off? Huh. Because you could have finished it off also. Her sword was kind of cracked. It was cut in half, but this is where, well, she still kind of had enough flames to kind of smash into Issei's kind of like heart. This is where, well, Issei's sword is kind of right in the, like a couple inches off of mostly, or not off, on top of mostly Laura's head. Right now, the heart was pointed toward her sword. Issei says, you would have finished me off before I finished you. Laura says, no, it would have been a tie. You're just being honest. This is where Issei scoffs and says, I'm not being honest. But whatever. This is where, well, mostly Laura kind of chuckles and says, well, other than that, do you want to call this a draw? Yes. This is where Laura then gets up after mostly Issei lending a hand to a devil. Even though mostly Issei hates devils, he can admit that mostly Laura is quite powerful. This is where, well, Issei says, quite interesting that a devil has a boosted gear. Not so bad for a human demonoid hybrid with mostly the legendary, no, not legendary, mostly Crom Crutch, the kind of phantom moon crescent dragon. Issei chuckles and says, yeah, I got him after mostly awakening my power fully. This is where, well, Crom Crutch right now connects towards mostly Diedrich and says, hey there, you red dragon bastard. Look at you. You look like you still steal that sacred gear. Shut the fuck up. You also stealing the sacred gear. Screw you. This is where both of them just start arguing and bickering. And this is where both Issei and mostly Laura just looks kind of, well, mostly sweat dropping from mostly both of their dragons. Issei kind of just says, sorry. I didn't mean for my dragon. Well, Diedrich, or not Diedrich, mostly Crom Crutch should be arguing with yours. No, it's fine. God damn it. I should have known Diedrich was going to be arguing with Crom Crutch. That's where Issei chuckles and says, so, Issei decides to wrap his arms around mostly Laura real fast, making Laura kind of blush and says, what are you doing? Issei says, technically I did win. You didn't make me your servant, but you became mine. What do you mean I became your... This where, well, mostly... Issei kind of puts a little kind of slash in her mostly not chest, mostly he points at the slash chest, mostly shoulder, and says, "This is one thing you kind of lost. You didn't even land a scratch on me, while you, well, other than the fact that you blast me, you cheap bastard." This is where, well, mostly Laura chuckles and says, "Well, that's too fucking bad, isn't it? It was a battle. It didn't mean anything." This is where, well, Issei scoffs and says, whatever. I'm taking something that should belong to me. This is where, well, Laura says, and what's that? You. This is where Laura blushes and says, what? I thought you said you didn't like devils. I don't, but you are actually quite interesting. You're quite powerful and strong. You also know how to use the destruction power, unlike a certain red hair. The fucking cow. This is where, well, she kind of smiles and says, that is true. Other than that, how should I say? Is this where both of them are blushing? This is where Cersei says, no. It says right here in this paper that it's mostly what Issei brought here was mostly Rias and him to marry. Issei scoffs and says, I'm not marrying her. This is where, well, Laura scoffs and says, she's not even a good fit. This is where, well, mostly Cersei sweat chops. He doesn't even want to lose his daughter towards mostly marriage. He thinks he's too young, but of course, he needs someone to protect Rias. And this is where, well, Issei could be the best fit, but it looks like they're not happening. This is where, well, mostly, Cersei says, hey, what's the call? This is where, well, mostly, Cersei coughs into his hand and says, so, mostly, without that happening, my daughter's too young for you to kind of, have any relationships, so it's better to kind of go out with my sister. Rias noticed that mostly Cersei is trying to get them together, but this is where, well, Issei scoffs, and this is where, well, he still kind of holds on to Laura and says, nope, mine, and I don't care. This is where Laura kind of chuckles a little bit, seeing her father just trying to get rid of this whole situation and put it upon Rias. But this is where, well, it's not happening because Issei seems to be quite stubborn. So there's like sweat drops, and this is where Laura kind of also just smiles. This is where, well, Laura kind of says, "So, Dad, are you going to marry me off this early?" This is where, well, Sarah's like, no. This is where, well, what's it called? Lucina kind of comes over and says, "Mostly no fair, sis. Why do you get to marry someone?" This is where, well, Laura says, "Oh, don't worry, Lucina. You can probably find the perfect guy for you later. Right now, your twin sister has to get married anyway." This is where she stuck out her tongue. This is where, well, Issei did let go of Laura just because he was hugging onto her way too much. Because, well, he's been kind of interesting with Laura. She's strong, powerful, and beautiful. At the same time, she has more better looks than fucking Rias and actually strong. This is where, well, Lucina kind of just glares at Laura, and this is where Lucina kind of then smiles with an evilish grin. She then appears right next to Issei and grabs onto one of his arms and says, "Well, I already choose him, and I pick him." This is where Lucina grins at mostly Laura, and Laura kind of looks at her with a murderous look. This is where, well, this looks like he wanted to just break and shatter him into a million pieces and just turn to dust. But this is where, well, mostly he hasn't, but this is where, well, he just feels like it because his two daughters are literally around the same guy that literally kicked the shit out of Riser Phoenix in an instant without a care in the world. Of course, this guy is also quite powerful. He's a Moon Hashira. And also the grandson of Mosi Yami. Yami is actually the leader of what they call the Demon Slayer Court. But this is where, well, he's a sweat chopping. This is where, well, Crom Crush says, "Well, look at that kid. You first had Luna, you then had what's it called, Lucina and Laura. You also have those two other Hashira girls. Well, what's her name? I don't remember and I don't care. You have 5 girls in total in your harem. Good luck, kid. I don't know what's going to happen next." What is happening next? Those 2 other girls that you met named Moriyama and Catherine will become your harem? He says Schwarzos and says, "I hope not. My life is just going to be more of a headache. I don't care. I hope me and Luna can still cuddle. That's always going to be my favorite part." That's where, well, that's where Crom Crush says, "I don't know about that, kid, but good luck with that." That's where, well, mostly Crom Crush goes off to sleep, but yeah. This is where, well, Lucina and even Laura are kind of grabbing Issei's arm, each other arm, and this is where, well, Rias kind of says, "Hey, that's my man." This is where Issei says, "No, I'm not." This is where, well, mostly Laura and Lucina scoff and says, "Yeah, right. You can barely even keep a man with you without them kind of deciding to, well, walk away after you're annoying him, or kind of just bothering them until they become a devil like you or something. This is where, well, or try to seduce them into becoming one of your Parage members." This is where, well, we'll see Rias right now grit her teeth and glares at both of them, but this is where both their auras exploded in front of them, or in front of Rias, making that Rias is actually below them. This is where, well, not Rias below them, she's actually below them because, well, she's weaker than them entirely. Both their auras are quite strong. Lucina has a very cold, and I mean very, very cold, icy aura with a bit of destruction magic in it. But right now, Laura's has a very kind of fiery and destruction magic in it because she is the Red Dragon Emperor or Empress. This is where, well, they are both glaring at what's it called Rias and saying, "Touch him and you die." Both their eyes are right now reddish. Right now, Lucina's eyes actually become a very silverish, white, bluish color, while mostly Lucina's that's Lucina's, while mostly Laura's eyes becomes a very ferocious, orangey, kind of reddish, like not reddish, crimson red color. Because this is where, well, not crimson, mostly a slick green color. This is where both of them are glaring at right now. Well, Rias and saying, "Touch him and you die." Both of them said, with their very cold and very hot auras. This is where, well, right now, Issei's sweat dropping. Of course, the auras aren't affecting him. Not that much. Pretty much, he already felt stronger auras before. And he is considered to be one of the stronger auras. But yeah, because he can use darkness aura and also moon aura. But also a third one, but not the point. But also using Crom Crush aura, but not the point either. But of course, where he sighs and just sweat drops and just says, I'm not thinking, I'm gonna go home. This is where, well, Issei says, other than that, I'm going home. This is where, well, Laura and Lucina says, "Ooh, can we go with you?" Issei sweats up and says, no. This is where, well, they say, too bad we're coming along. They already have their bags packed up, and this is where, well, starts like a sweat up and say, no, wait, don't do that. This is where, well, right now, Gracie B is patting Star Sex on the head, saying, there. This is where, well, mostly another kid appears and saying, ooh, can I go with you, big sis? This is where, well, they turn around to see none other than Milikith. Milikith is smiling at them. This is where, well, they go up to Milikith and says, ah, sorry, Milikith, but we are going to go see our new husband and we'll see his house. And if it's small, don't worry, we will build it bigger and then you can come with us. This is where Issei swears up and says, this is how mostly the relationship of a devil, well, mostly having a relationship with devils feels like. God, I feel like I'm gonna fucking die. This is where, well, we go into a time skip, and this is where Luna actually meets up with the two daughters of Sir Sex. Luna says, wow, Issei, I didn't know you were actually going to impress the two daughters of Sir Sex and Lucifer. What's next? Are you going to impress Michael and letting you kind of have his daughter, or what? This is where, well, mostly Issei swatch up and says, no, Luna, I'm fine with that. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to sleep, okay? This is where, well, mostly Issei did grab Luna and says, you also going to sleep with me. Luna says, no, you go to sleep by yourself. Don't be mean to me, Luna. I'm tired and I need my own kind of fallen angel with me. My own angel. This is where, well, Luna kind of says, don't worry, I'll be in bed with you later. This is where she kind of peck him in the cheek and says, you just go to sleep right now. This is where, well, right now making, what they call, Issei stretch ups and says, fine, I'll be going. This is where, well, Luna kind of grins and says, don't worry, I'll see you later. This is where, well, Issei says, yeah. Issei gets onto his bed and just falls asleep. But for right now, I'm going to leave it off here for mostly part 4 of this What If. I know short, but other than that, bye, so yeah.